Our next speaker, Dr. Terry Root, is going to move us on to the topic of terrestrial wildlife responses to climate change. Dr. Root is a senior fellow at the university and university faculty at the Woods Institute for the Environment and professor by courtesy in biological sciences at Stanford University. She has received numerous awards, is widely published as well, and is co-awarded the 2007 Nobel Peace Prize along with Richard and many others. Dr. Root's work has focused on large-scale ecological questions investigating factors shaping ranges and abundances of animals, and she has focused her work on birds originally. And this research led to many publications on the effects of climate change, and most notably, in 2003, the publication of a meta-analysis that established a temperature-related shift or fingerprint for global warming on animals and plants. So please join me in welcoming Terry.
Good morning, and thank you very, very much for the invitation. This is actually pretty wonderful. What I wanted to talk to you today is, instead of talking about oceans and all, which I don't know much about, I need to talk to you about terrestrial areas. So we're going to switch from what we just heard to the terrestrial areas. And this is what I would like to talk about today is, first of all, our rapidly warming world, then go on and talk about how species are adapting, and they already are showing that they can adapt very easily. And then talking about the species that actually can't adapt, and what do we do about those. So until I just heard the talk, this earlier talk, this to me was the most scary plot I had ever seen. Now I'm going to have to get a hold of your to put that up there. The thing that worried me about all of this is that if you look over 150 years, that the temperature has gone up 0.05 degrees C per decade. If you go just 100 years back, it's 0.07 degrees C per decade. 50 years back, it's 0.13, and 25 years, it's 0.18. So not only is the temperature going up, the temperature is going up faster. So it's actually increasing and increasing. And how can we actually help plants and animals to adjust to all of that? Because it really is changing quite rapidly. Well, first of all, I want to talk to you about one of the things that I think has really stopped a lot of the work and research and help that we could have done. That is the naysayers that are out there that are really saying that global warming isn't happening. And time after time after time after I would give talks, people would say, well, what do I say to them? So I finally decided I was just going to put it in my talk. So that's what this is. I don't know how many of you saw, there was a movie that was produced in England called The Great Global Warming Swindle. If you want your blood pressure to go up, watch it. And these slides are horrible because I took them just directly off from the video, so you'll have to just accept that that's a mess. But anyway, when the first version came out, this was a plot that came in. The red line is showing sunspots, and the blue line is showing temperatures. Temperatures usually in red, but they switched it around on this one. And so you can see how there's a very, very striking association between all of those. That was the first one that came out. The second one that came out looked like that. You see the difference? Look at the hole that's right about, and I can't even read the dates on mine, 16 something, right? There's a hole in the sunspot plot. You see it? So they decided, well, we really don't want this to happen. So actually, this is the first one. I'm sorry, I told you backwards. This is the first one. So they didn't want that in there. So they said, okay, we'll take this and extrapolate or interpolate and figure out what's going to go on. Now, think in your mind how you would interpolate between those 2 points. And I will bet you it doesn't look anything like that. Okay? So this truly is what is going on. And we need to somehow stop worrying about the naysayers, just let them flail around and do whatever they're up to. And we need to now go forward and say, okay, we want to tell the truth. We're going to tell you what's going on. We're not going to make up stories. Okay, so what is actually going on? We are having extremes. Things are going on that have never happened before. On the bottom here, it shows a plot showing the summer temperature in Switzerland from 1860 to 2003. And I don't think that it's just so obvious what an incredibly strong extreme that is. And that's what we would expect, is we're going to start having more and more extremes. As we're pushing the whole climate system to a different state, we are going to have a lot more extremes. So that's one issue. The other issue is this one, which Westerling, what he did was he looked at all of the forest fires that occurred in the Southwest, and he divided them up into two bins. That's it. That's all he did. Late snow melt years, early snow melt years. And you can see that there's a huge, huge difference. Guess what we're going to have more of? Early snow melt years. So we need to start thinking also about what we're going to do as far as fire goes. So let me go through something that I came up with a man in an NGO. And what we wanted to do was show what the last IPCC major results were. So what I'm showing is the temperature will be going up and up and up. The years that are there, those are completely a cartoon. We have no idea what's going to happen there because we don't know what we all are going to do. But we've gone up basically 0.7 degrees C already, and that has an increase in droughts and increase in fire risks. If we go between 1 to 2, we're going to increase the risk of extinction from 20 to 30% of the known species. Now we know the number of known species we know about are 1.7 to 1.9. So let's say 2 million species. 20% of 2 million? That's a lot of species, 400,000. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. Coral is going to be bleaching. It already is. We're already past that. So, oops, sorry, wrong way. Then if we go up between 2 and 3%, there's going to be major changes in natural systems. There's going to be a decrease in biodiversity. There's going to be coral mortality, which we're seeing. I keep hitting the wrong button. Sorry, guys. Then if we go between 3 and 4, there's going to be a lot of the global wetlands are going to be lost, and there's going to be trouble with food production. Then if we go above 4, we could have as much as 40%, actually I think there will be more, 40% of the known species will be marked for extinction. We're going to have partial melting of the ice sheets. That's already happening now. And then we talked about how the sea level was going to be changing. So the point is that we're going to have a lot of change. We're going to have a lot of change in our biodiversity, and somehow we've got to get a handle on how to help them. So that's our rapidly warming world. I guarantee you it's warming a lot more rapidly than we're used to. So now, how are the species actually adapting to this? And they are adapting. What we have been finding is that species are indeed, shifting. They are moving poleward and up in elevation. Now, the reason that I show this slide is that not all of the species are doing that. So in Voyage of the Beagle, Darwin said that all the communities, biodiversity communities, are going to be locked together, and as it gets warm, they're going to move up. As it gets cold, they're going to move down. They're not going to separate. Wrong. What's happening is one species is doing this, one species is doing this, one species is going here, one species is staying there. What we're having now is a tearing apart of communities, which is something that I'm really quite concerned about, because what we're tearing apart are the biotic interactions. So if B happened to be the predator of A in this slide, then A is going to go up in abundance until another predator can come in and learn how to eat A. If A is an endangered species, that's great. If it happens to be a pest on our crops, it's not so great. So we need to somehow realize that there isn't this, the communities that we have right now are not going to stay. And there's some work that's going on right now looking at how the species composition is actually going to be changing, and we've got to get a handle on that somehow too.